Growing up, you knew it was time for Halloween when you would start seeing the famous orange lining the streets of every suburb and supermarket, and you'd get excited about dressing up and bringing out your inner ghoul and turning a pumpkin into a festive decoration, a jack-o'-lantern. Also, you get to eat a bunch of candy. But who was this Jack, and why do we commemorate him every single year on pumpkins? And what's the story behind this spooky tradition? Let's talk about it. This is History Kitchen. Every single year, I ceremoniously go out to pick a pumpkin to make the perfect jack-o'-lantern. It has to be round and slightly egg-shaped, a deep orange, and also needs to have a stem that stands upright like a little hat. Now, there's no right way of choosing a pumpkin, but I always keep an eye out for these small details. When I was a kid, I once heard that we carve pumpkins to keep the bad spirits away, similar to how gargoyles are said to ward off the evils of the world from entering into certain buildings and churches as a symbol of protection. But that's just one theory behind these monstrous creatures. Humans have been known throughout history to prop an apotropaic figure in front of a home or a settlement to ward off bad spirits or anything that can be seen as a threat to the welfare of the people. A great example of this is at the Wellcome Collection in London. This small statue of a man was said to stand at the entrance of a village to ward off any evil that wishes to harm the peaceful villagers. I suppose that would explain why we place a pumpkin in front of our houses, but why is it called a jack-o'-lantern? Or I suppose we should be asking, who was this Jack of the Lantern? Halloween began in Ireland some millennia ago as the Celtic tradition known as Samhain, which was the Celtic New Year and celebrated the end of life, but this also led to a rebirth. Which makes sense, as this was celebrated at the time where the harvest ended and the crops began to die out as the cold winter came back to reclaim the earth. Which eventually led to spring and so on and so forth. The Celts believed that the borders between the world of the living and the world of the dead were at its weakest during this time, and spirits were able to pass into our world with ease, and the devil himself was also known to make surprise appearances. But where do pumpkins come into all of this? Well, the legend of Jack of the Lantern can clear things up. Or better yet, the story of Stingy Jack. In Ireland, there lived a man named Jack who was a good-for-nothing drunk. So the story goes. He was a trickster of sorts and had quite a reputation. One day, when Jack was walking home, he ran into the devil himself. He knew that it was his time to go, however, being a cunning man, he pleaded to the devil to allow him to have just one last drink before he was dragged off to hell. So then Satan took him to a local pub for a drink. Jack had a few pints, but being as stingy as he was, he told the devil to cover the tab. Which in all fairness, why not? He didn't have any cash on him, so Jack had an idea and he convinced the devil to turn into a coin that would cover the bill. The devil was astonished by Jack's cleverness and obliged, and transformed himself into a coin. Jack quickly grabbed the devil in the shape of a coin and stuffed him in his pocket next to his crucifix. The devil angrily pleaded with Jack to let him go, and in return he would leave him for 10 years. Jack agreed and let him go. The devil kept his word and left Jack for 10 years. After those years had passed, Jack was walking home and saw a man on the floor that needed help. Jack was stunned to see that it was actually the devil himself. He was back to take Jack down to hell. Jack quickly thought of another plan and asked the devil if he could have just one last bite to eat. He pointed at the apples in a nearby tree and asked the devil if he could have a few. The devil obliged and climbed the tree to get him some food. Jack quickly ran and placed his crucifix at the bottom of the tree, and the devil could no longer get down. The devil, frustrated by Jack, asked what else could he want from him. Jack asked the devil to leave him alone forever, thinking he had finally outsmarted the devil and beaten death. The devil was no fool, but agreed to let Jack go under certain conditions. He cursed Jack to roam the earth for all eternity, and threw a burning coal at him and said he would need to hold the coal for the rest of time. If he could not take him to hell, he will put him through it, and disappeared. Jack, the clever man, quickly ran to a nearby garden and pulled a turnip from the earth and carved out a hole where he could store the coal, once again outsmarting the devil himself. As the Irish migrated throughout the world, many ended up in America, where they brought the tradition of Halloween, where it took on a life of its own. And pumpkins being more bountiful in North America, it's no wonder that they're more commonly used than turnips. And as for Jack, many people have claimed to have seen his ghostly lantern in the countryside of Ireland, but he remains as he always was, a legend. Happy Halloween. I do want to say that there are many different versions of this story, and I have created this using different elements of each of these stories related to Stingy Jack. So if you know of a different version, let me know in the comment section down below. And thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, why not subscribe? And until next time, this is History Kitchen.